Isn't it? In the kind of corporate world that I live in, you get a lot of these things because they say, "Oh, look, these poor guys, they're chained to their desks all the time. Let's take them on a little away day, or let's take them on a little conference. Let's get a motivational speaker. Let's get a swimmer with one leg who's won a medal at the Paralympics to talk to them about how great working at a bank is."
yeah, absolutely.
And it is weird because it affects people in different ways. I just sit there and sneer for the whole event and just try not to just pull flesh off of my hand while I'm sitting there. But other people get really excited by it and walk out of these meetings so full of adrenaline, and they just want to phone up our clients and say what a great bank we work for.
Yeah.
But it just
that lasts about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then everyone kind of repairs to the bar, and you got to talk to people you don't really know, and
that's the other thing.
I'd rather just go and sit in my room,
crying.
Yeah,
no, I know what you mean. But Rufus, I imagine it's all very different for you.
It is, Steve. I'm a huge fan of rules, and rules make games fun, as we all know. And also, you've got 15 guys with nothing structured to do between 2 o'clock and the dinner reservation at 9.
Yeah.
It's going to get messy. All they're going to do is sit down and drink.
Talk,
they'll be drunk by 7.
have fun.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's fine. I just think if there's not nearly enough attention being paid to me in that context.
Sure.
It's my stag night. And the questions were largely about Rufus, photograph yourself outside theatres Rufus has appeared in, and how tall is Rufus and what colour his eyes. Things that involve you having to talk about me a lot.
Yeah, and your name being mentioned.
That's
almost endlessly.
Exactly.
Well, some of the things we had to do, I felt, because it's very slightly awkward. I don't want this to sound, all show-offy. But if you've got a little bit of a profile like myself, then you see on the sheet of paper, have a photo taken with a man or a woman with their shirt off. You're slightly anxious, you're feeling like maybe this could wind up in Metro at some point, or it could get horribly ugly. So we did manage to find a man in the street who was willing to take his shirt off and have his photo taken. And it was an exchange. He wanted his photo taken with me.
Okay.
He wanted my shirt off, I'll be honest with you, and no, I didn't. I refused. I refused. What I did was I used the old trick of saying, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that," and then didn't do it.
All right, and running away.
And then running away. But for instance, finding a pair of high heels to try on again while everyone else was wandering around in the sex shops of Soho. I was very conspicuously lingering around outside, which in itself looked suspicious and a bit creepy.
Spotted
on his own, lurking outside of
shifty
erotics.
Waiting for the crowds to die down.
Exactly. And we got told off in Trafalgar Square. We had to have a photo taken on a plinth.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why the games are fun, because getting in trouble with the police in a very minor way is all. And then we got arrested by the police. Oh, Steve, tell me what happened when you saw,
Yeah, but I don't want to get arrested by the police.
Right, okay.
I've got so much to lose, Ruth.
Chicken.
I got so much to lose. Sammy, are you an enforced fun kind of fan?
I like any sort of fun, enforced or otherwise. My dad particularly up for enforced fun if he's paid for it. If he's paid for something, fun will be had, or you will feel his wrath.
Six Music listeners, stories please of your own stag or hen night events, particularly those in which you were forced to do things against your will. Well, luckily we didn't get to the point where we had to strip you naked and tie you to a lamppost, such an old cliche. Yes, get in touch, because I'm always interested to hear the horror stories of people's miserable lives. So get in touch. I'll be back after the news.
On digital, online.
Deary me, Jude, I don't know what you've done there, my sweetheart, my lovely, but it was chaos. We were trying to get too clever for our own sakes, and it's Jude's last day. It makes you realise why. Magic Carpet Ride, Steppenwolf, Steve Show. Sorry about that, guys. I know you look for utter professionalism. Some classic 60s noodling. Steppenwolf, of course, Magic Carpet Ride, and it's Steve Show 6 Music. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. Still to come, very excited to hear our version of Black or White. Me on the rap, Sammy on the bongos, Rufus on vocals, Harry on an egg. We recorded that live at Summer Sunday with Jonas Policewoman on backing vocals, and she does a cracking job as well. Also as a live track recorded by Joan as well, especially for the show after that. I love the fact that we actually spent so long working on Black or White that she only had time to play one of her own songs before we had to get rid of her.
Well, she was such a good sport as well, because she came in and we didn't know whether she's going to be a bit awkward, but she bought into the whole Black or White thing. She absolutely loved it, and she added a certain something to it, I think.
Well, class.
Yeah.
Class, quality musicianship. Although Sammy's bongoing, I tell you, there's going to be a lot of, there's already a big pool of Sammy fans when they've heard you add it on the bongos.
My hand swelled right up, and I thought I was going to have to get my ring cut off.
Basically, if you like bongo movies, there should hopefully, if all goes well and we get clearance from Jacko's people, there should hopefully be a video of the black and white session, as we're calling it.
Properly and
shot professionally and properly, hopefully on the web at some point, so I look forward to that. Still to come, of course, I'll be hacking off Sammy's hair for laughs. It's rare that I find a news story in the paper on a Sunday morning. I don't think, of all the time we've been doing this show, I've taken a sideways look at the week's news. But there was this news story today, which I don't know when it happened, I can't believe I missed it this week. I'm sure, Harry, you saw, I know you keep your eyes peeled for all that stuff, but yeah, it was just dynamite. Let me just see here. Yeah, basically, there's a artist called Paul McCarthy. Okay, he's a Los Angeles-based artist, and his latest sculpture came loose from its moorings outside of a Swiss museum, and went crashing through the town, crashed through a power line and through a couple of windows. And the sculpture is a giant inflatable dog turd.
Oh yeah, I did see this. Yeah,
and I'm using the artistic phrase, but it's called complex shit. Sorry, but I'm not gonna, I think we can use it as it's art. That's the rule.
Yeah.
But complex S. And it came loose from its moorings. There's a picture of it there. It's huge. It's vast and incredibly convincing. But imagine that. Imagine if you're just sat having a cup of tea. And a giant inflatable turd that you don't realise you don't realise it's inflatable.
Yeah.
You just think some horrific, space monstrosity has let loose with it, and it comes crashing towards your window. If you had a heart attack at that moment, and that was the last thing you saw.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Yeah. But it ruined his display, because that was very much the fecal point of the installation.
Oh, hang on a minute. Come on. Hang on a minute.
That's just out of nowhere.
Wait a minute. A lot of people are going to be blogging. They're going to be saying that was all elaborately set up so that Harry could mention that. No, that was straight off the top of his brain.
Frightening.
It is indeed. Who was that Joe's, who had on the web, who, on the emails, who was something of a contender to your, filthy pun crown? See if you can find him, because, he was absolutely dynamite.
It was the egg gag, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, see if you can find that. In the meantime, let's have a musical choice from Sammy.
Oh, I picked this one to cheer me up. I've actually done a double this week, like Harry did a few weeks ago, so I've gone for two nice short songs, one pre-chop, one post-chop.
Okay.
The one I've picked to cheer me up is Sunshine, Lollipops and Rainbows.
Oh, that sounds horrific.
It is.
What was that nonsense, Sammy?
I just love it. It was Sunshine, Lollipops and Rainbows by Leslie Gore. It's mine and my mum's favourite happy song.
Well, you needed to cheer yourself up, I know, because I don't know how we got around to this a couple of weeks back. You were talking about how you wanted your hair cut off. I thought you meant sort of shaved off in a really hilarious way. That was what I was looking forward to.
No.
But anyway, for some reason, you also want a tortoise. So many demands. And I offered to buy that tortoise if, for kicks, I could cut off your hair. Because I have to say, I've looked at hairdressers over the years, and it looks easy. Yeah. It does look incredibly easy. This fact that you've got to go to lessons and classes and do training, I mean, come on. It's a pair of scissors.
Yeah. Some of them, have two different pairs of scissors, they do different things.
Yeah, right. Please. Hello. And I certainly, when I was younger, when I first went to the barber, he was great. All he had was a pair of clippers. Whatever, I went in there with a picture of Christian Slater. I said, can you make me look like that? Just clipped off my hair. Number 3 all over. That's what Christian looks like, he said. And most of the time, he was just peering out the window, and then occasionally lean out and, some passers-by. Audrey! Still clipping my hair. I thought, surely focus on the head. But no, so anyway, as I say, I've got the presumption is that it's fairly easy. But I tell you, a man who may actually know whether it's easy or not is, Adam Reed. Round of applause for Adam. He's come in. Adam, you are an absolute pro.
I am.
You have cut the hair of some pretty big names, am I right in saying?
I have, yeah. And I work with quite a few on a regular basis, which is good.
So they come back, so they're obviously pleased with the job.
Yes.
And so what kind of names, can you mention the sort of names?
Yeah. I've worked with Madonna, Uma Thurman, I do know Gallagher, Sophie Dahl.
Right.
Agnes Dean, so quite a few different people.
Agnes Dean, very much the haircut of the moment, as I
understand. Very much. I unfortunately didn't actually have that done in New York, but I work with her when she's over in London.
Sure, yeah. So you're trying to take glory there for something which is not strictly yours. But no, it's amazing to me, isn't it? It's always amazing how sort of certain haircuts become voguish. I mean, famously the Jennifer Aniston one.
Absolutely.
In the early days of it. Do you remember that period? Were you working then? Was there suddenly a craze, or is that something that kind of is hyped up by the likes of
Oh no,
magazine?
definitely. Everybody, if somebody has a cool haircut, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
I know the most recent probably was Victoria Beckham's Do.
Right.
a little Pob, which I didn't like personally, but
Yeah.
that was the popular one, and we had hundreds of people wanting that. So yeah, they do, and anything in a magazine people are going to want.
And why is it that sort of hairstyles? I mean, what kind of governs the certain vogue for things? Is it? I mean, is there sort of in the same way that there's fashion shows presumably every year, and the latest trends are sort of set by the top level designers? Is that also true in the world of hair? Are you and Nikki Clark, coming up with something interesting in the lab?
We definitely
And then
we
watching it-
try to come up with something different. So it always pretty much comes from something that you've seen in the past. So
Yeah.
Bob obviously was a 60s haircut, and there are always takes on that. But we do try to come up with different things, and then it is pretty much based around celebrity.
Yeah.
So from a hairdresser's point of view, if you're lucky enough to do a haircut on a celebrity that then comes in vogue, you're going to make yourself a bit of money, which is good.
How many times have people come in and asked for the Steve Merchant?
Oh, all the time.
Is it getting pretty
We're
crazy
just
out there?
around the corner, so we get them in all the time. They're queuing.
It's getting pretty berserk, I imagine. Yeah,
it's
I can well
mental.
imagine. I've realised my hair is slightly thinning now, so I'm actually you'll notice I'm sort of sweeping it forward so that when I do actually go bald and I have the comb over, I'll just be like, well, I've always had the comb over. I'm not bald at all. No, I've had that since I was 33. What are you talking about? It's quite. It's a long. It's a long game I'm playing. But as I say, I presumed it to be fairly straightforward cutting someone's hair. Are you going to tell me now it's not as easy as I thought?
I'm quite offended by your first comment.
Okay,
to be
all
honest.
right, okay.
But yeah, it's not easy at all, and I've probably got about 12 pairs of scissors in there.
12?
So,
Wow.
they are tools of our trade. It isn't easy at all. So I'm hoping you're going to make her look quite pretty after.
Well, I mean, I can't make her any prettier than she already is. Of course, she's already a beautiful lady, but certainly I feel, give you something a little bit funkier. What sort of look, Sammy, are you going for? What would you like
I've
the hair
got
to
it
look
on
like?
my phone.
Rufus, could you, using your benefit of language, could you summarise for people who don't know what Sammy's hair is like currently?
It's a beautiful, beautiful colour. First of all, it's a very clean, beautiful kind of ash blonde, kind of honeyed colour. She's got a fringe which goes up and down depending on the season, but at the moment is just kind of covering her eyes. Yes, it comes down to about halfway down her back.
Rufus there has cleaned up. Has cleaned up what he was going to say.
It's a visual guide.
And you've handed me here, Sammy, a picture of someone, and this is someone you've seen in a magazine that you would like your hair to look like.
I'll be honest with you, I took that picture of a magazine that I wasn't prepared to pay for.
Well, so you were thumbing through in a newsagent.
Well, I bought one already, and they're really expensive hair magazines, and I only need one for one picture. And then I saw that, and I thought, I'm not buying another one. So I just took the picture sneakily and ran away blushing.
Wow, what in a newsagent? Was the man shouting at you?
No,
It's not a library! Oh, we've all done
fine,
that.
it was fine.
We've all done that in newsagents, not necessarily, of course, looking at the hair magazines. But, I don't know why you're sighing, Jude. You've just made up your own story there. I was thinking, of course, of Auto Trader. So looking at the photo that you've chosen, actually, probably better if a professional can describe that. Maybe that, because I don't know exactly, maybe got a particular professional term.
Again, it's a graduated bob.
A graduated bob.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Texture in. She's still got the fringe, which is nice, and the colour. She's going to be able to work, really well with the colour. But it's got a shattered edge.
A shattered edge.
Yeah,
I thought that.
So it's not a blunt bob.
Yeah.
It's a shattered bob.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the hardest, how hard would you say it is to give someone that haircut?
For me, it's not very hard. For you, I would say it's on the scale of about 11.
I love a challenge. No, I like a challenge. I like a challenge.
Definitely.
And what's great about a challenge, it's particularly good a challenge, I think, when you yourself are unscathed at the end of it. It's always nice to see other people suffer for your own amusement. We will get shopping after we've heard from Pavement.